Terminology in the Integral Yoga. Devotion. From the Mother, a devotion that keeps concentrated and silent in the depths of the heart, but manifests in acts of service and obedience, is more powerful, more true, more divine than any shouting and weeping devotion. Sincere devotion is much more effective than the Ganges water. Devotional attitude, moderate and self-effacing, it gives remarkable fruit. But it is an ardent and happy adoration, and the feeling of devotion is thus satisfied without in any way hurting the intellectual consciousness, which knows Thee to be one with everything and present in everything. My love for Thee, O Lord, is Thyself, and yet my love bows down before Thee in deep devotion. The Mother's Prayers and Meditations. Give me Thy light, O Lord. Grant that I do not fall into any error. Grant that the infinite reverence, the utter devotion, that intense and profound love I bring to Thee may be radiant, convincing, contagious, and be awakened in every heart. The Mother's Prayers and Meditations. I tell you, only those with a great devotion and a great love are not deceived. A great devotion gives you an immediate sense of things. When your devotion goes like this, shrinking gesture, you know what it means. But your devotion must be sincere and very strong. It's the only protection. Mother's Agenda. Question to the Mother. What is meant by the yoga of devotion and the yoga of knowledge? Mother. The yoga of knowledge is the path that leads to the divine through the exclusive pursuit of the pure and absolute truth. The yoga of devotion is the path that leads to union with the divine through perfect, total, and eternal love. From Sri Aurobindo. This integral turning of the soul Godwards bases royally the Gita's synthesis of knowledge and works and devotion. To know God thus integrally is to know Him as one in the self and in all manifestation and beyond all manifestation, and all this unitedly and at once. All life becomes a constant yoga and unification of that divine and this human spirit. This is the manner of the integral devotion. It creates a single uplifting of our whole being and nature through sacrifice by the dedicated heart to the eternal Purushottama. This knowledge becomes easily an adoration, a large devotion, a vast self-giving, an integral self-offering, because it is the knowledge of a spirit, the contact of a being, the embrace of a supreme and universal soul, which claims all that we are, even as it lavishes on us when we approach it all the treasures of its endless delight of existence. The way of works, too, turns into an adoration and a devotion of self-giving, because it is an entire sacrifice of all our will and its activities to the one Purushottama. This absolute self-giving, this one-minded surrender, is the devotion which the Gita makes the crown of its synthesis. All the above from Essays on the Gita. There can be no such thing as a mechanical and artificial devotion. There is either devotion or there is not. Devotion may be intense or not intense, complete or incomplete, sometimes manifest and sometimes veiled. But mechanical or artificial devotion is a contradiction in terms. It, emotion, has its place, only it must not be always thrown outward, but pressed inward, so as to open fully the psychic doors. The emotional devotion is more outward than the psychic devotion. It tends towards expression. The transformation proceeds to a large extent by a taking away or throwing out of the old superficial self and its movements, and replacing them by a new, deeper self and its true action. It does not matter if the higher feelings, devotion, etc., seem to you sometimes like an influence or coloring. You will then feel them always as not only normal, but as part of your very self and the true substance of your nature. The flow of devotion and love is a thing which the more it repeats or awakens is bound to overflow to all the parts of the being and have its effect on them. All this from Letters on Yoga. No, it is very good. There are few who have that in any intensity. If there were more, it might hasten things. How is it that there is so little intensity of devotion here? Is it because there is more insistence on controlling emotions, or because of constant sadhana and the integral movement? Sri Aurobindo. It is true that devotion here is very insufficient, but these cannot be the reasons, for psychic emotion is not discouraged by us, and the integral sadhana is not integral without bhakti. I think it is because of the prevalence of a too positive mind and the habit of criticizing everything from a quite external point of view, which is rife in the atmosphere. We have very little devotion and obedience compared to the disciples of Shankara and Buddha, or the followers of old yogic disciplines, even though a greater discipline is needed because our aim is higher. Letters on Himself and the Ashram. All in me is proceeding towards the Mother's love, devotion, and purity. Why then am I not going up in my consciousness and getting higher experience? Sri Aurobindo. The power of experience is not gone, but what is more important now is to develop the psychic condition of surrender devotion, love, and cheerful confidence in the mother, an unshaken faith, and a constant inner closeness, and also to bring down from above the peace, wideness, purity, etc., of the higher self, which is that of the mother's consciousness, from the mother with letters on the mother. This is the trinity of our powers, the union of all three in God, to which we arrive when we start on our journey by the path of devotion, with love for the angel of the way, to find in the ecstasy of the divine delight of the all-lover's being the fulfillment of ours, its secure home and blissful abiding place, and the center of its universal radiation. From the Synthesis of Yoga. The integral yoga of devotion proceeds through 7 stages, each of which opens out from the one that precedes it: aspiration and self-consecration, devotion, adoration and worship, love, possession of the whole being and life by the divine, the joy of the divine love, and the beauty and sweetness of the divine, the absolute bliss of the Absolute. Essays, Divine and Human. Namaste.